Now been 10 months since geologist Daniel Robinson went missing in the Buckeye Desert. His dad had been conducting his own searches near where his son's crashed Jeep was found.
Yeah, it's still a mystery, and with his son still missing, he says funding has run dry and he's going to stop searching, at least for now. Brianna Whitney's been following the case for us, spoke to Daniel's father today. Do we know what comes next?
He doesn't even know what comes next. And I think what's so hard in this case is there's just so much unknown here. And that's what's so hard. His dad made a point to say just because he's pausing his desert searches does not mean he's giving up on the case. Because David Robinson has conducted his own investigation alongside law enforcement, he's working largely off donated funds. He says right now there's just not enough to keep group searches going after 10 months.
June 23rd, 2021. The last time anyone saw Daniel Robinson. Yet his dad, David, keeps one thought in the front of his mind.
My son may still be alive out there somewhere.
David Robinson drove to Arizona from the East Coast after his son went missing from his geology job site in Buckeye last summer. His Jeep found crashed about 3 weeks after. Since then, David has been leading organized desert searches with volunteers several times a month. They've found bones that belong to others, but never Daniel's. David says he relies on GoFundMe dollars to keep his own investigation and searches up. And he says the reality is those funds have run out.
The operations search, the organized search is on pause for now.
He says while searches are on hold for now, he's focusing on a different part of the investigation with items found at the Jeep crash site.
One of the biggest parts for me right now is to get the forensics work done for everything else that I found, the clothing, my son's wallet, his cell phone. There's another additional cell phone that was found out there doing my searches close to that area. That phone itself, also the work computer and his personal computer.
David says he's taking his efforts to the next level, filing a 501c3 Tuesday to launch the Daniel Robinson Foundation, where he hopes he can not only raise more money for his own investigation, but can also provide funding to other families dealing with missing loved ones.
The goal is to help other families to not go through the same thing I have been through just to get to this point.
While the Buckeye Police Department has not found evidence of foul play at this point, David says he still believes something criminal happened and says he will stay living in Arizona to see his son's case through.
I'm here until I find my son. That's what the goal is. That's why I'm really fighting. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that happens. I think any father, any mother would do the same.
Buckeye Police tells me Daniel's case is absolutely still active and an ongoing investigation. They're still working on conducting new interviews, looking at satellite imagery, checking financial activity, and working on forensics and targeted searches in that area. Live from now in studio, Brianna Whitney for Arizona's Family.
A dedicated father, no matter the result in that case. Brianna, thank you for that.
Thanks so much for joining us. Our big story right now on 12 News at 6. May 23rd will mark 11 months since Daniel Robinson vanished in the Buckeye Desert.
His father moved here from South Carolina and has been leading search efforts almost every weekend. But now he says donations have dried up and he's hitting the pause button on the search.
So what is next? Team 12's Josh Sanders has been following this story from the very beginning and has more.
Sometimes your body want to say, I can't do it no more. But my mind say, I got to keep going.
Nearly every weekend for the last 10 months, David Robinson has been here, searching the Buckeye Desert with volunteers, hundreds showing up to look for his son, Daniel.
10 months is a long time. Every day is that same thing over and over again. Daniel's still out there missing.
He's organized hundreds of search groups, using drones and other technology to canvass miles of desert terrain around the crash site of Daniel's 2017 Blue Jeep Renegade. Daniel's clothing found inside out, boots and socks, wallet and laptop. No blood, no signs of injury, no signs of Daniel. He hired a private investigator and collision expert.
After the airbags came out, somebody turned that ignition over at least 46 more times.
David's teams even found human remains, but not Daniel's. Funding generated through a GoFundMe account. More than $250,000 raised through thousands of donors.
Everybody made that possible for me to remain here. Started off with roughly 200 people coming out there on weeks to go out there and search with me. That number has dramatically dropped. I'd be lucky if I get 20.
But that funding has now run dry, leading David to temporarily pause the desert searches.
The stress of the demands of trying to get the forensics work done on the vehicles and the clothing and everything else. Then I had to take away some of the equipment that's very vital and crucial.
Buckeye police do not have evidence pointing to foul play. Despite pausing the searches, David remains determined to find his son and help others with missing loved ones. He's in the early stages of establishing a foundation in Daniel's name to support other families with similar stories.
It's a non-stop deal for me. I want to make sure that the same thing that I have gone through don't happen to another family. So if I can help it.
Josh Sanders, 12 News.
My name is Daniel Robinson. I attend AC Flora, and I'm planning to major in geology at the College of Charleston.
Good job.
When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dave Robinson. I'm still searching for him. Good morning Thank you for coming in for this Q&A on Friday. I'm really grateful that you all came out, decided to join here on this Q&A. My son, Daniel Robinson, geologist Daniel Robinson, went missing on June 23rd last year, 2022 and 2021. And he's at his work site. He's a geologist hired on a company called Matrix New World, Matrix Southwest Groundwater, as a field geologist, also called a hydrogeologist. My son's job is to check the viability of wells, to make sure those wells are producing at least 100 years of water, and also to make to check the rock sediments that's inside the water, because this is drinkable water, supposed to be drinkable water. My son has been doing his job out there in the deserts of Arizona. He's been working for this company almost 3 years. He came from South Carolina. He graduated from the College of Charleston, South Carolina, as a geologist. Like I said, he came out to Arizona to span his horizons, to start his career, to get away from the cradle of his home, to start his own life as a grown man and as an adult. He really liked it out here in Arizona. One of Daniel's favorite things to do out here is hiking and exploring, things like that. So he loved that very much. He loved to be around people and his friends, and also he liked to be around water as well. Of course, you can imagine that coming from South Carolina. We do have coastline there, and that's one of his favorite things to do as well. I'm here this morning to talk about my son's case, to answer questions that people may have. That's why I have this Q&A. I just want to come up front and tell you guys that I do have decided to put the Q&As just for 1 day a week. That 1 day a week would be on Wednesdays. Well, every Wednesdays, this Q&A would start being on Wednesday. I would have a morning Q&A as usual at the same time, 6:30 Arizona time, also Pacific time. That's out California, for instance, Nevada. 6:30 in the morning for those times, and also that's 9:30 East Coast time that morning, Wednesday mornings. Then I would have a prime time as usual. Be at 5:30 p.m. here in Arizona. Like I said, Pacific time as well. It'll be 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast. So if you guys could join in for the Q&As from that point going forward, I will be happy to have you out there to ask your questions. I get ready, happy to answer your questions and things like that. I will take time to make different type videos and things like that to add to this channel for awareness, and also hopefully I can highlight some of the other cases that's out there. A lot of families out there look for their loved ones. They need a platform or anything like that to share their personal story. So for the rest of the remainder of the days, like I said, there would be videos coming off of TikTok and things like that to cover some of the content that will be missed because of that, this new change. Again, I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. I want to start off too to help you guys remember that we will, like what's going on the bottom of the screen, a day of remembrance is an event that will be coming on the 25th, and I want you guys not to forget that. If you put that on your calendar, we need all the support we can on that, as well as having families who may have missing loved ones who want to showcase or highlight their missing person. You know, you bring your tables and things like that, and your booths. We definitely want you out there to be a part. So you can RSVP on Eventbrite, and also you can do it on pleasehelpfinddane.com under the events tab. Please ask you guys to please come out and support that. That's a really good cause to help other families, as well as help bring awareness to my son's case. So keep that in mind. Don't forget about that. Again, I have the anonymous tip line on the bottom here, as usual, for anybody who knows. And I know someone have an idea and a clue, and do watch my Q&As, and do have been to the searches or something that will, tell us, just be able to tell me what happened to my son and where he's located and things like that. So you have that kind of information, please use this tip line. Got the tip line just for you. You also have a tip line from the Buckeye Police Department, and what I understand, they saying the same things I'm saying. You can remain anonymous. You can, talk to the operators that I have 24 hours, 7 days a week. But if you don't want to talk to them, of course, I always tell you this, and I know you heard it before. You can just text the word tip to that number, and you also can still remain anonymous. So thank you, guys. Thank you all for being here. Like I said this morning, if anybody want to contact me for tips, or just to say anything, or have any advice or anything, you can hit me up in these two forms. You have the phone number there. So that's the public cell phone number that I use. It's my cell phone number, but I use it for the public. And also there's my email address there that you can reach me at. Please help find Daniel@yahoo.com. If you guys want to, again, be part of anything or have some suggestions, you can also use that email. That would help as well. So those information is there on the bottom for you to be able to use. And I think just want to tell you guys, like I said, you coming out here, helping out with this Q&A, getting Daniel's name out there. It's been helpful. Like I said, I'm up to 1,000 some subscribers. I'm really grateful to see that. Every time I see that, I'm really, really happy to see that, because like I said, I hear people from different places. I went to some meetings, and they say, hey, I see your Q&A, or I follow the story. So, that's definitely helpful to, get that information out there. So you guys can like, share, subscribe right now, especially those who haven't already. If you can do that, I really appreciate that if you can. That way, so we get the algorithms going and things like that. I do want to point out Maricopa County Sheriff Office for their hospitality on yesterday. Did have a meeting with Sheriff Bazone. And I mean, it was a very good, productive meeting. one of the highlights of that for me was that the sheriff was able to sit there and listen, actually listen and take notes, and also gave us some resolution to some of the questions that we have, and allowed me to ask all the questions I needed to ask, and also voice my concerns and things like that. So I really hats off to him and his whole staff, and that's the way policing should go. I really have seen that for 2 days now. I've seen that with the Phoenix Police Department, and also, like I said, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. So I'm still not stopping there. I'm still going to keep on fighting. Still going to keep on trying to reach out and try to get some things moving. So if you guys can be aware of that, next week I will be going to, next will be going to Tempe's city council meeting. If anybody want to tune into that, I will be there speaking about my son. So look forward to me being there doing that. So gonna keep this fight going. Hopefully, with God's blessing, I can go ahead and finish the remainder of those desert searches that I want to do. Some areas that still have to be searched out there to find my son, if he's out there. And so I'm taking faith on that. That's coming back pretty soon. We will be having those desert searches out there for those areas. So, and also don't forget that I do have a foundation working on that, and as well, like I say, the event. Please keep in mind of the event that we have, and we want to keep. I'm gonna put that on the bottom of the screen, so that way you can have the information there. And let's see here. So it won't go get lost in the. There we go. All right, the information is there. Please go. So it's going to be June 25th to June 25th, 2022, 6:30 through 10 o'clock p.m. Says please you go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com under the events tab. Also, you can go to Eventbrite and find this as well. So RSVP if you can. I just want to tell everybody thank you for being here. I want to go down the list some. If you guys have any questions, please put the word question there first, followed by capital letter Q, or use the capital letter Q, the word question, or some question marks followed by your question. And that way I can go down the comment section and find those. I just want to tell Tub883 thank you for being here from England, SS England. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of this Q&A. I'm really grateful every time you come out. Also, thank you, Tea and Wildflowers. Thank you for being here this morning, coming out here to take your time out to be a part. Also, Sima, thank you for being here. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming out to this Q&A. I do want to say thank you, first of all, Sophia, for being here and your help and everything you're doing. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here to Q&A this morning. Please check out pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. There's a lot of information there for you. So also thank you, Tanya, for being here this morning. Thank you for your prayers. I really appreciate it. We definitely need that. We definitely need to say Daniel's name. He need the justice they have. Just like I talked to Sheriff Pizzone yesterday. One of the biggest things he did say himself, of course, if there's anybody that knows the thing, we definitely need his due respect and things like that. As a father, I had to see to that. I had to make sure that my son is found, and make sure somebody's looking for him. That type deal. If anybody know anything, ask them to please. Let's make sure they go ahead and say something. It's time passed to let this thing just keep on lingering and going on and on and on. I put the efforts there. People can see the efforts there, and if somebody knows something, they need to go ahead and speak out. So thank you also for being here, Barry. Thank you for being here this morning. And again, please help find Daniel. Please help find Daniel. So we don't want to forget. Also, I don't want to forget other people's family as well. That's why, like I said, doing this look for my son, become passionate about other family members as well. I talk to a lot of families who are suffering just as much as my family, and some has been doing it for years, and still haven't found their loved ones. So we definitely gonna keep on trying to fight for those also as well. Thank you, Esther, for being here. I just want to mention that you guys, your voices have grown. We're at 116,866 signatures. Well, I call them voices. Your voice, asking for change. Asking for these departments to step their game up, and also to get justice for Daniel, and as well as changing the laws. Saying that things like that. We know that the first 24 hours or 48 hours is the first crucial moments that it takes to find someone. And that don't mean you wait 24 hours to 48 hours. That means that you try to go look hard within that 24. You start this case off looking, and like I said, you think the worst first, and then you work your way back in that 24 to 48 hours and try before that 24 hours is up. I think the police department should have answers to at least the latest in 48 hours, the answers to what may happen to this person. So there should be no more what happened in my son's case. A family asking the department to go look for their loved one because they know what's not right. For that department to try to do everything they can to say this family don't know what the hell they're talking about. You know, hey, let me go ask some coworkers to what they think, rather than to say, hey, look, hit it towards this family knows exactly what happened, this person's mindset, and what they think is a better choice, way forward to find out what happened to this person or where they're at. So if a family say have concerns to say this person is missing and that they have something going on, I think the police department should approach it that way. Hey, look, we need to go try to prove that this person is, go see, make sure that everything is okay with this person, and work our way back to this person is okay and nothing is going on with the situation. Don't say, and like in my son's case, just assumptions. He's a grown man, and if he want to leave, I mean, nobody told him that. Nobody told any police officer that. Nobody told in the department that. Daniel didn't come forward and say, hey, you know what, you guys, I'm calling 911 and tell you, hey, my family come looking for me. You let them know I want to be gone, you know, that type deal. Nothing like that happens. So you can't come with assumptions and to say he's a grown man and you just automatically in your mind to say, hey, he just took off and want to do his own thing. So we're gonna have to stop that kind of thing. That's what caused problems. That's the reason why, if you think about, it's been 11 months now since my son has been seen. Had they acted quickly, I know I wouldn't be sitting here behind this mic like this. Maybe in a different scenario, I would probably be here if I heard those family story. Of course, you couldn't be human without trying to help other people. So I can't say I wouldn't be an advocate for help for other families, but I can tell you, I think that Daniel would have been found a long time ago. Whatever happened, if he's out there, I would have known already by now. If something foul has happened, then we would have known that as well. Those are, like I said, it's very crucial moments. So that you guys can keep continue to sign that petition. They're helping me out. I am doing things in the background to help myself. But with hearing your voice, hearing your voices right there on that petition, it helps out a lot, because that means I have a lot of people standing behind me who believe the same thing and want to see justice in Daniel's case, and also want to see justice for other people's families. So definitely, if you guys can do that, that's your voice. If you can sign a petition multiple times, do that. The petition can be signed multiple times just by your emails. Just, so if you guys have multiple emails, you can do it more than one time. That's just your voice amplified, is the way I like to look at it. So thank you also, Tracy, for being here this morning on the Q&A. Shields Nation, thank you so much for coming out. I like to see you here every time. So thank you so much for taking your time to be a part. Also, I haven't been doing this a lot. Thanks, Sophia, putting that up. I haven't been doing this a lot lately, but yeah, funding, just like on the commercial or the news clip that I put on first. The fundings have been dramatically dropped. And when I say that, you guys have gotten it to where it's at now. And those funding has been used. It's been used. They've been used from day one to do those searches out there and to continue to do everything I'm doing here and to remain here in Arizona as well. So I'm still fighting. I'm still here on the ground, still have my boots on the ground, still trying to do everything I can to find my son. And your funding, it helps in that manner. So if you guys definitely can still donate, I really need that. I'm really grateful to do so. Get back to the desert. That's what I really want to do. Get this forensics work completed. That's what I really want to do. So you guys can help me in that manner. No, nothing too big, not too small. It's a bad thing. It's a good thing. Anything you have to help towards donation wise, I definitely need that. to continue everything to keep going on here in Arizona. So if you guys can help me out with that, I really appreciate it. God bless you in advance. I'm really grateful. And for those who have already donated, I will be going on there to update that GoFundMe to reflect that my gratitude, because I'm very grateful to everybody. I don't care what you have done. I'm really grateful for that. Those who cannot donate and have been coming out to for instance, pass out the flyers or to come out to the searches when I was having those searches out there. I'm very grateful for what you have done. Because like I said, this is a big effort from everybody, not just for myself, but you guys by being a part of it. It's a big effort. So thanks so much. All right. Thank you, Tanya, for being here this morning on this Q&A. I really appreciate that. Also, I want to put this information. Thanks, Sophia, for putting all this out. You can print those flyers. Also, go to pleasehelpfindday.com. You can print those flyers. The information is there. There's a PDF there for you to be able to print the flyers out. And again, I always keep constantly putting out the size. My team probably would say, "Hey, yeah, I need to really do it." But this idea, of course, these are the flyers. Of course, it's gonna be kind of, because of the green screen behind me, kind of make the words look kind of messy. But this is the flyers, and this is size. And you can see it's the postcard size. On the back, of course, has the tip line there. Not tip line, but also it does have tip line there on the bottom, but it does have the reward, is what I want to say on there. But anyway, the flyers are the size of a postcard, and I have designed that way because I tell a lot of people when I first came out here in Arizona, the flyers that was created at first was the size of notebook paper or size of print paper, and had to have them laminated. That was very costly to get mass produce those. But the whole thing was it's too big. It's too big. It was very good for storefronts and things like that, for maybe somebody to tack it up on a wall or something like that. But it was very hard. It was real tough for people who was wanting to carry it around in their pocketbooks, their pockets, or put them up and things like that. So this big bulky thing and hold in the hand. So I came up with the idea to have it as a postcard size and bring all the information into this one postcard. So that's what we have there: the tip line, the QR code that was eventually added to it, and just information there that anybody can utilize. And so the reason why, like I said, to make it a lot easier to date, I find family members or people everywhere still holding those to some of their flyers they had for months ago. That was given to them months ago. So, and just to be able to have it, but not at this point. My biggest thing is to get Daniel's story out there. So if you guys want to print those out, you can print them out any way you want to. If they want to be a notebook size, you want to have it print paper size, that is fine. I just want to let you guys know that's exactly the way I've had them here. But they don't necessarily have to be that. If you guys want to help and get those flyers out there, whatever's feasible for you, whatever's easier for you, if it's on, like I say, print paper or anything, we're just trying to get Daniel's story out there. So if you guys can help me with that, go use that PDF there on pleasehelpfindday.com. That would be very helpful to me getting Daniel's story out there, Father. All right. You can also volunteer other ways. There's other volunteer other ways tab on pleasehelpfindday.com. If you guys, of course, like I said, we do have the foundation filed, but we will be going through all that. We still continue. A lot of people have already signed up months ago, and but we still have those information there, and there's going to be time that we could utilize those. But we want you guys to continue on doing so, so we'll have that the information. So when the time comes, we can reach out to you and things like that. So, all right, don't forget about the Eventbrite again. Event alert. We have that at 6 on June this month here on the 25th. If you guys can, come out here on the 25th in Phoenix, it'll be at 6:30 at the state capitol. As Arizona, and right here in Arizona. For the 1 year anniversary or commemorative anniversary. I want you guys to come out here for other people's families and things like that, their loved ones, to tell their stories. We're asking those families to be able to come out there and bring their flyers, their pictures, and things like that. We have resources out there. Going to be out there for you guys, for the family members who need some other resources. I will be out there. So like I said, I will try to share everything I can with family members who's coming out on ways that I started my searches. For instance, some of the things I learned as I was doing my searches, and some recommendations that I would have as well. So please come out. Please come out. I want the families to be out there. Definitely want you guys to come out and support. If you are in another city, here's the time now. You can put that on your calendar, and you can make plans to come out. We definitely would like to see you here as well. So please don't forget about that. It'll be right here on the 25th this month, on the 25th. So in this year. So thank you so much for having your attention on that. Thank you also, Stephanie, for coming out. Thank you. You say the Find Me group. Yes, I did reach out to those. And I want to tell you all, thank you all for putting these nonprofit organizations out there. I have been trying and reach out to many of them, of course, over the time of searching for my son, over the time of working out there in that desert, especially. Yes, I've been reaching out to a lot of those nonprofits. So thanks so much for putting that information out there, Stephanie. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much again for being part of this Q&A as well. Thank you, Sheriff, for being here this morning. I really appreciate you coming out for the Q&A. Good morning to you. Thank you, Hildy, for being here this morning, coming out to the Q&A. Again, I want you guys to know that you all know that the Q&A is going to start being on Wednesdays only. For those who just came in, I will have the Q&As going forward, just being on Wednesday. So if you guys are looking for me being here Monday, I won't be doing a Q&A Monday morning. Like I said, everything will be shifted to Wednesday. There'll be two on Wednesday. There'll be that morning Q&A and also the primetime Q&A, where we can have these same thing here, the questions that need to be answered, and also giving out information. Throughout the week, there will be information being posted there on YouTube. Also, there'll be information posted on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and also TikTok. So there'll be information there. So going forward, that's what we'll be doing. Said I could utilize this time in the mornings. I was getting very busy to do other things and efforts of finding Daniel. So I'm working hard, you guys, in the background to make sure I find my son. So to utilize that time, it would be very crucial going forward. So, all right. Thank you, Kathy, for being here this morning. Known you for a long time. Really great for you coming out to be a part of the Q&A. Also, thank you, Barry, again, to putting this up. Thank you for everything you do. Remember to hit that like, share, subscribe button. That would help with the algorithms, help with my son's story getting put out there. Keep this thing going, this YouTube channel. Keep it going. So thank you guys for being a part of that. All right, Janica, thank you so much for being here this morning. Good morning to you. And if you guys have any questions and things like that, please, I'm going down the comment section at this point and look for questions. So if you have those, put the capital letter Q or the word question in all caps, or the word question there first before you ask your question. Also question marks before you ask your question. And I can definitely sorry with you guys, definitely be able to answer those questions, see them as I come out of the comment section. I do have one here from Esther. Thank you so much for your question here this morning. This is the first one for the Q&A on this morning. Your question is, now that KE has put himself out there, I think he's saying Kenneth, I believe he's saying, can we some footage to get Daniel's story out there more, or will that disturb the case? I think you were talking about the Kenneth. I think you're saying from the well site, the only person that saw my son that morning, who this whole narrative came from about my son disappearing. Yeah, he put himself out there. Of course, saying a lot of that stuff was redacted on the police report, and also, for myself. But now that he put himself out there on Paramount, yes, I can say his name a lot more. We could talk about that a lot more, as in some footage. I'm not sure what footage you're speaking of. If there's some type of a news article or some story out there, yes, please share those, especially right here on the Q&A. If you guys want to share anything I have here, please, by all means, share that. Just want to get the story out there. Want to get more. But no, that would not disturb the case if, there's some information with him, saying that's already out here on video and things like that. So yes, thank you so much. And if you have anything, that's what tip line is for. If you have anything that you want to share that Father, that can help me in my investigation and also help in other ways, please hit that tip line up that I do provide there, or call me or email me. Those things, those information I have, and I put on the bottom of the screen from time to time. So thank you, Esther. All right. If anybody have any more questions, please, by all means, hit the, like I said, the word question there first, capital letter Q, or some question marks there. As I come down, I will be looking for those. I do have another one from Sherry. Thank you, Sherry, for hitting me up here on Facebook, through Facebook. I really thank you for coming out for this Q&A this morning. Your question is, when your son's vehicle was discovered, what, if any, evidence was found in the front seat? The reason I ask is is usually when someone crashes that in that manner, there are some sort of evidence left in the front seat. But do you believe he was in the vehicle when it crashed? That part just boggle minds me. So yeah, and I get that. Yeah, it bothers me too. That's one of the questions. I'm starting from the end of your question. That's one of the things I did when I went to have that meeting with the Buckeye Police Department. The first thing was, how did they know my son was even driving that vehicle when it crashed or when it ended up in this ravine? And their answer was, because it's my son's vehicle, he's obviously was driving. I don't know if that's being sarcastic or they really meant that. If they really meant that, that made me think they're not such great detectives as I thought. And also, sarcasm is not something you do when the family need to know answers. So one of those things that was given to me at the time, but that bothered me too. That bothered me as well. If my son was driving that vehicle at the time it was crashed, at the time it ended up in this ravine, things like that, I need to know those answers. And at that point when I ask those questions, they haven't done any forensic work on the vehicle or anything, no fingerprinting to see if Daniel D was driving. They didn't do any forensic work on the airbags, for instance, to see if Danny's DNA is on those airbags. So that type thing. So, that's some of the things that as when it comes to that, as in the content of what's on the front seat and things like that, I don't have really definitive answer to that. I just know the contents that was in the vehicle that was expressed to me. I do know some things I can see from all the pictures and stuff that was provided to me. Some of those contents I definitely would not be able to share here on this Q&A, but I can tell you the ones that was out in the public, like the cell phone, my son's work computer, things like that, his keys to his vehicle, so that type things was in the vehicle, as well as a hard hat filled with water. So those are things that's already out in the public, and I can't say yes, that's some of the things that was in the vehicle. As in, one thing for sure, I can say that my son's vehicle was not in drive when that vehicle crashed, because I'm looking at the angle of that shifter and the pictures that I have, and it's hard to tell, but you can look really closely. You can see what position that vehicle was in, and it wasn't in a drive position. I don't believe, or any type of park or anything like that. I'm just really trying to look at it and see where it was, so to make sure that it wasn't just pushed down there or just driven down there. I'm not sure. But the whole point is I'm trying to look at it real good and see what those positions is on that. But as in anything on the front seat and stuff like that, that's the only thing I can speak about was what is already in the public. But some of the things I do have pictures where I see other things there as well. And I won't be able to tell you what those contents are. But thank you so much for those questions. And yes, I'm trying to find all the answers I can. Try to be really just look at things real slow. Sometimes you have to look at things like several times, and it's hard to doing everything we're doing now. Trying to do events to bring awareness to my son's case, and at the same time try to work some type of investigation. I have had a lot of time in the past to do that, and but now it's getting really hard to try to juggle everything at once. But it's moving slow, but we're definitely getting the answers that we need. So I do have a lot of answers. Just that I want to tie everything in with the forensics work, and we're working on that. So, all right. And I do see something that you have here, and I want to highlight that. It's not a question, but I happen to see that under your question, Sherry. It says it's been 17 years for my mom, and they tell me the same thing about her. And I'm assuming, I hope I'm not wrong, but I'm assuming that you're saying, I don't see any comments, other comments that you have in the comment section, but I'm assuming that you're saying either your mother was missing as well, or something happened. I'm not know what that something is, so I don't want to really assume. But yes, it's very difficult for a family, whatever it is, when you feel like law enforcement is not really doing their part or doing everything they can to help. So again, I've been hearing stories from other families, and that's the reason why you can't just walk away and say, "Hey, look, I found my son, or I haven't found my son, and I'm just moving on." The thing is, you try to help other people along the way in your journey. So yeah, definitely, if you want to, Sherry, come on here on this Q&A and talk about your mom's your story. If feel free to reach out to me, and I would love to have you on here on the Q&A, or anytime during the week. Saying we can make a special something for you to highlight your mom's story. The story, as you said, it's been 17 years. I can tell you that people I have spoken with as well, it's just like day one. And this is a mom you're talking about. First of all, people wouldn't know. I don't even wouldn't understand the pain. Saying that I just imagine, because I know how it feels what's going on with my son right now. But the pain that it is for a mother to have a missing mother, and it's been 17 years. But I can tell you, like I said, a lot of families that I speak to will speak about their loved one who's been missing for many years. It sounds like day one. When they tell the story, it sounds like day one. It's never something like, "Hey, I just gotten over it. We just moved on with life." No, it's something that stick with you for the rest of your life. So my heartfelt for you and your family, and I still say, God comfort you all for what you're going through for 17 years. And so if you want to share that, thank you. All right. All right. Thank you, Sophia, for being here this morning. Again, putting out this information, June 25th, 2022 at 6:30 to 10. Bring your tables, bring your photographs, and your love of your loved ones, and meet other families. And they'll all be out there. So if you guys have a story, as same as well as you, Sherry, if you want to come out and share your mom's story, or anybody want to come out there and share the story. There's other people out there sharing stories. Definitely want to give you the opportunity and that platform to be able to share and bring awareness to your missing persons case and missing persons, your loved one. I don't want to say your missing person as that way, your loved one, your family member, the one that you love the most, and to bring their story out. And the resources, like I said, would be there for you as well. You can go to the Eventbrite that she have here. The link there is on this comment here. If you guys can go to Eventbrite, and you can sign up there. You can register there as well. Go to pleasehelpfinddane.com on the events tab. But definitely, the Eventbrite there is for you. That link there, you can get to it. Thank you, Sophia, for putting that on the chats. All right. Thank you again, Tanya, for being here. Yes, Daniel do deserve his respect. Saying that's what I'm going to be here for, to keep on fighting for that. And I really appreciate your thoughts on that as well. God bless you too. I really appreciate it. But yes, I'm definitely going to keep on fighting for my son. I think anybody, again, there's no parent that wouldn't do the same thing I'm doing. So, I'm doing my job as a father. All right. Thank you, Sandy Floyd. You just printed out the flyers to put on your car. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's what I'm grateful for people like yourself who would do that. And I'm really grateful for that. Hopefully we'll bring more awareness to Dan Case. It will, because I'm telling you something, even here, Sandy, I'm not sure where you're at, but I tell you here, even here in Arizona, there's always places in Buckeye, where my son was missing. There's people who haven't even heard of Daniel's story. So there's always room to tell somebody and somebody to get awareness of what happened. So, of Daniel's case. And that's the most important part for me. It's part of the effort again to find that one person who knows something and for them to have the opportunity to say something. So by you doing that, they could be living in your city now. They could have been out here in Arizona, passing by in their car or saw something and forgotten about it. They happened to be moving that day, and they live in your city, for instance, and then you put those flyers out right now, and that person see that and say, "Oh my gosh, I remember something." That would definitely help. So trying to make sure that I get his story out again. Sherry, thank you so much for being here as well on this Q&A again. Thanks so much. Also, thank you, Barry, for putting that out. Funding is used for the cost of rental and desert searches. Funding helps cover costs of maintenance, maintaining living expenses in Arizona. Yes, it does a lot. You know what I'm saying? So you guys, if you continue to donate, that will help in every effort that I have here. First of all, I have to be here for my son. Keep my boots on the ground here. Keep on the fight for my son. You guys have been doing that. You guys have been champion on that behalf as well. It's been over 30-some, 40-some weeks, if I get my numbers correct. 30-some, close to 40-some weeks of searches out there in that desert. And those funding was used out there in the desert, and you guys have provided that. I would have never been able to provide those type searches out there for that length of time. Responsible searches, like I said again, anybody can go out there and say, "Hey, I need some people to come out here to volunteer to search," and people show up. That's the easy part. People can show up, but the harder part is to make sure these people are also safe, and also make sure that your search is really effective. That means that you're able to have those equipments, those quads and razors and things like to get around. I did have to provide those also as well, those quads and razors and things like that for my former investigator, his staff. So to be able to be out there and put an investigation on the ground itself. So a lot of those money is being used for things like that. Also, like I said, for the during the time I had the flyer city search is what I call it, to get those flyers out there all over the cities here in Arizona, but then to those hospitals and homeless shelters, as I was saying, and then it turned to city distribution, where I was asking, like I'm asking right now. Sandy, thanks so much for putting it out, those flyers you print out, for people to get those flyers out there. So I had to mass produce a lot of flyers to get them out there. People come pick up flyers and things like that. But with funding, I'm asking everybody if they can, like Sandy as well, to help out by printing these flyers. If someone want to go to print shops, someone want to print them themselves, definitely help me get those flyers out there, because I'm doing everything I can to sustain the funding that I do have left to continue this operation. So I definitely want to keep everything going. Just doing a little bit at a time, more and more, just trying to get things going back the other direction where I can get the searches back up again, and as well as some other things I was doing at the beginning when I first started searching for my son, because everything's important. I didn't want to even put the searches on pause. It's really hard to even imagine in my brain that I had to do so. It was a hard decision. It was a really heartbreaking decision. It hurts really bad. It's still to this day, to think that maybe if I had one more search in the areas that I know need to still be searched out there, it was a few areas left. And if I could have got those areas, if my son is out there, I could have got him off that ground. One of the things is finding human remains out there. We have been finding those, and to see what happened to other people's families. When they sit out there too long in that desert, things happens out there. Things get scattered around and things like that, and that makes it even worse for families to, though you have some form of closure. That's why I always say form of closure. That's never a total closure when you find your loved one out lying on the ground in the desert after so many years, after so much time, because there's animals and things like that. The weather changes things. That's the way I really want to put that. And just to know that nobody want that for their loved one. If a person's out there and they want to bring that person home, they want to bring every part of this person back home, and you don't want to have them scattered all over that desert. So that's one of the hardest part mentally to imagine for my son's sake. I don't want that. So thank you guys for your support. If you can, like I said, please, by all means, the donations help. It helps a lot. So I don't want to forget about that. So you guys can go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, and you'll see the donation tab. I'm trying to read some of this. Thank you so much, you guys, for everything you're saying in the comments. I just want to put this up. I'm not sure what say. I'm going to read this. Sherry, have you heard of the app Nextdoor? Yes, I have. It has helped in some ways with my search. Yes, I have, and I think one of those things was offered to me from Buckeye. Some of the citizens there was using that to um, bring awareness to some people in their communities and things like that. So, yes, that is a very helpful tool. All those tools are very, very, very helpful. So, um, definitely, it's one of those tools that you can use. All right. Thanks so much, Beverly, for being here this morning. Good morning to you as well. Thank you for Barry putting it out as well. I see that there. But thank you for being here this morning. Thank you, Janica, for being here this morning. Thank you, D Love, of course, for being here this morning. I really appreciate that. I do have a question from D Love. Thank you, D Love. The question is, Mr. Robinson, will there be a fundraiser event to help raise money for what's needed? There eventually will be again. Right now, we really was concentrating on this event on the 25th, and we will be bringing some type of fundraising again. I will be updating, and I keep saying, "Oh no, okay, you guys." When I say things here on Q&A, oh, I'm going to do this, go and do that. Sometimes things have my intentions to have it done quickly, and then I get pulled a different direction, and then my mind just go in that direction. But one of the things is updating the GoFundMe, updating the petition, updating some of these things, and I will be making a video to try to raise some funds. But yes, as if a fundraiser event, yeah, that will be coming up as well. But we're trying to get things together now for what we're doing for other families. Is the Day of Remembrance to try to get those things set up here. So I just want to make sure I put that on the bottom as well, what I'm talking about. But yeah, a Day of Remembrance. Definitely want to get really prepared for that. It's a very important event, not just for the sake of my family, but sake of a lot of other families. So, but definitely, yeah, I definitely need the funding. I definitely need to remain here in Arizona. I definitely need to stay in the fight for my son. I definitely need those funding for this forensics. It's going to be the most costly thing, but I do need some funding to get these searches back. I did have somebody again come on the comment section to say, why do it cost to do searches? And it does. It does because I'm a responsible person. That's the only way I can explain that even more so without going to the further details of why. Because I'm very responsible. I'm former military. I know the costs and logistics and things like that. It would be beautiful, and I think any police department or anybody would be grateful if it didn't cost them a dime to go out and search for another person's loved one. The departments, again, just in the Petito case, I hate to bring that back up. But just to find, I'm going to put it on the guy who, the murderer, just to go look for him and things like that. The money that was collected on this GoFundMe, for instance, they utilize that in one day. And they've been looking for this guy. I think it looked like it'd been over a month. I don't know. I was so busy looking for my son at the time that I couldn't follow that case. But I can tell you, it seemed to be at least a month they was looking for this guy, and they spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on that search for this guy. They used resources from other departments, you name it. They put money out there to find this person who was a murderer, and they do need to put that money on the person, the young lady. They needed to put the money just like they need to put it on Daniel to find this young lady, and that's what they should have done, and that's what they should do for every case out there. So that's the argument I have when it comes to things like that, is that I didn't get afforded the opportunity to have agencies from everywhere. I think from when I was looking at that case a little bit, they had agencies from all over this country looking for those family members, and I can't get seem like a dime of law enforcement money towards look for my son. All the money, all the searches and things that have been going out there in the desert come from you guys, come from my own pocket, and also come from you guys as well as in your donation, form of donation. So you guys are the ones who've been paying for everything that's been going on here in terms of me finding my son, searching for my son. It wasn't law enforcement. Law enforcement didn't put a dime into it. I even offered them. You look on the front of the face of the website that I have, is always inviting law enforcement out there. And also I've been inviting them out there. They only came out twice on an invitation. I had to send a direct letter to the chief of police to come out for do a specific job. And like I said, those 2 times they came empty-handed. On one occasion, they had to come back on a weekday to perform what I asked them to do for me, and that's search a well and things like that. But even with that, they have did the job and thought I was going to be satisfied with that. So, but the point is, I'm saying is, there's no funding coming out of law enforcement that would help in my efforts to help find my son. And so, having said that, the funding you guys see on GoFundMe, the amount or whatever, those monies have been utilized. Those things have been utilized to continue my searches, continue everything I have been doing since day one. Like I said, it's been over 30-some, almost 40 weeks of searches. You can imagine to spread that out over this several months now. Of course, I'm still going to need funding. So, you guys, thank you so much for that time. I just had to take the time about that because the fundraiser. Yeah, that's something that's coming up. And one of the hardest things for me is always asking. And I have been for almost a year now, have been having to ask people for things. So, all right. Thank you guys for coming out, and thanks for giving me the opportunity, D-Love, to talk about that. Sometimes that's heavy on my heart to ask for funding, ask for something I really wish I didn't have to, So, all right. Thank you, Barry, for putting this information out there. Also, I want to put that on, put your comment up there. Please encourage others to share their stories. David has made his platform open for others, and yes, it is. I did reach out to other family members here for this YouTube channel. You guys built it up to 1,000 subscribers. It's not my channel. It's for my son, and also my son, I know how Daniel is, and my family and myself. We share. And it's all about helping other families as well. So I did reach out to other families. And one of the things I can say is that you haven't seen the family members on here yet sharing stories. One of the biggest problems with that is always the same thing. It would have been the same thing with me if somebody would ask me to come on, probably. But, I have a different passion. I had to do something that I was uncomfortable with as well, very uncomfortable with. And that's uncomfortable of sharing the story. They want to share the story. That is afraid to be on camera. It is hard. It is hard, especially when I remember doing my first interviews, local interviews, just standing there and they tell you, hey, talk to this camera, look in this camera and talk to this camera. Things like that's hard. Your mindset is on trying to find your loved one. And the other part is, you're not a person who necessarily want to be on camera and things like that. So I get that. When a family member say, hey, Mr. Robinson, yeah, I'm thinking about it. And they keep telling me they're thinking about it. Hey, and then they say, hey, look, it's just the camera. I'm just not sure, they're nervous about being on camera. I might mess up or something, that type deal. It is hard. It's hard sharing your emotions and sharing your story, your person's story on camera. And it is hard. So I tell them to take their time and they're ready to reach out to me. And I say that to anybody who's hearing me now. You want to share your loved one's story, by all means, reach out to me. And hopefully I can have you on here and share this platform. It's not the biggest platform in the world, but definitely can share what I have to help you in any kind of way that I can. So, all right. Thank you. Also, blessings to all. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Are truly blessed. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here this morning on this Q&A. All right. If anybody have any more questions, please put the questions there. We'll be looking for that. I definitely will be put some comments on from my team members. Barry, thank you again. We will continue to support you, David, and help you find Daniel. Yes, I know you would. And I thank you for all your hard work you do as well in that effort. So, all right. And thank you, everybody who's out here following this story and constantly coming on this Q&A to be in support. We definitely need that. Thank you, Shannon, again for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. I do have a question here from T and Wildflowers. Thank you again for constantly coming out to the Q&A. Does Buckeye Police Department have Daniel's flyer up in their office where people can see it? If not, will they put it? Or maybe other law enforcement offices too, Tempe, Phoenix. I did give some flyers out yesterday to Maricopa County. One of the team members gave it out to the sheriff department. So hopefully they will be putting that up. They was happy to receive those. And also Phoenix. But as in Buckeye, I'm not sure. They had the opportunity with those flyers, but I don't know if they ever put anything up on their office. I haven't been in the office in a long time. And the last time I was literally in their main office was the time that they gave me everything from the scene here, the clothing, the everything that was on the scene and they collected in the evidence bags and stuff like that. So that's the last time I've seen the office. So I don't know what they have posted up there. I'm not gonna say they don't have Daniel's story or name or any kind of bulletin or whatever in their office. I don't know. I haven't been there to actually see that. So hopefully they do, because it'll be helpful for people who come into that department and be able to see what's going on in Buckeye. You know what I'm saying? It's very important. It's very important that I have been out there searching for my son. Very important that the volunteers that's with me, we all out there and we find human remains and bring it closer to those people that live in Buckeye or whoever, wherever they're from, or wherever the person's family member, where they're from, to bring some closures to people, families in that city. And so it's very important work to bring some answers to some other cases. Like I said, we've been out there. We found my son's clothes right here in this pile, in the pile of clothing you see back there behind me. Well, allegedly, and to this day, like I said, you guys, if you guys can help me get this forensics up, is allegedly it's his clothes. As far as I know, I can't say it's definitively even Daniel's clothes. That could be staged as well. So allegedly, it's Daniel's clothing. But the whole point is I'm making is also in the searches near the well site, not near this area. This area is 3 miles away from that well site, but near that well site, closer to that well site, we did find some other person's clothes in a pile, everything that's wearing on their body in the same manner you see right here on this ground. And that at the time when that happened, we was thinking maybe there's a serial killer out there doing these things. And my son had probably been one of the victims. A very scary moment. We turned those things over to Buckeye Police Department. You don't see it in their report. You don't see anything much in that report. It's still part of the case. But they got my name in their police report. The father of Daniel Robinson that's missing is out there doing searches. So that's still part of the whole the case matter. But they won't put that in the report. They won't put the things that we found out there in the report. They won't talk about the clothing, like I said, and that pile that we found away have nothing to do with Daniel, as far as I can tell, other than the connection could be something similar to what like I'm saying, some type of serial killer type deal. They don't have that in the case. You would think that they're still related because it was found out there by my searches. So that type stuff. So definitely. I'll get off topic again. Sometimes people ask questions. My team, we talk about that in the back. You guys ask questions, but it kind of prompted me to talk about other things. But definitely, as in flyers being there, I'm hoping that Buckeye Police Department do put something up there for their citizens to be able to look at when they come in their department. All right. Thank you also, Barry, again. Doja needs to help with costs of funding, forensics, and employing personal investigators. Yes, it definitely helps with a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's no easy ride to try to get things going here and keep things going on a daily basis. It's one thing, that's the reason why the foundation will help coming up is for families to not to have to worry about certain things so much. One of the biggest things while you're trying to find your loved one is to worry about how you're going to go out and find your loved one. How you're going to come up with funding, how you're going to stay in the position to be able to help law enforcement or help yourself in a sense. Look for law where law enforcement is to their limit, and if they're willing to do it, they're not willing, whatever the case may be. Whenever to that certain limit, a family member like myself would not just go stop and just go away because law enforcement walk away from something. No. Family members like myself will be continue to try to fight for their loved one and definitely try to do everything they can. But sometimes, even in my situation, financial situation can try to push you in a corner and make you have to give up or something. And I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to give up, and sometimes it's hard to try to push. And it's always come down to something like that. It always come down to these things, and a lot of times it is funding when it comes down to that. that kind of determine if a person could continue to do something or not. So that's why I'm fighting for that. I'm fighting for funding. I'm fighting for help. You guys can help in any kind of way you can. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Barry, for putting out information in this chats. I really appreciate all your hard work and everything you're doing. I really appreciate that. God bless you on that. All right. Anybody have any more questions, please put it here on the comment section under, put your word question there first, followed by your question. And if I miss anything, please ask the questions again. The question for the word question there, followed by your question, or a big capital letter Q, or some question marks, things like that will help me find it as I'm coming down the comment section. I will be coming down kind of quickly. So if I see it, I will stop. But I do want to keep putting some of the things up my team members are putting up there in the chats. So unfortunate that Buckeye Police Department chose to break chain of custody by handing over all the evidence. I'm still wondering what exactly are they investigating. And that's the truth. And I'm glad you pointed that out, Barry. The thing is, yeah, you know, one of the things my attorney told me when I first hired her on, and she says that, yeah, you know, the chain of custody have been broken. The way they handled my son's case, the Buckeye Police Department, that is, handled my son's case is a tragedy. Is a very much a tragedy. And like I told you guys, the assumption is one of the first tragedy that happened in my son's case. Hey, he's a grown man. If he wants to disappear, he can. How you know that he wanted to disappear? The second thing was along the fight of trying to find my son, they haven't put a dime in coming out there in the searches with me. They haven't been standing by my side, haven't tried to help go look in that desert. They came empty-handed. There's 3 half searches they done total now. But before then, the first search they did almost 3 days after my son went missing, they came empty-handed. They did the Civil Air Patrol search, they claim. They came empty-handed, right? Nothing. They found nothing. But my searches with people, regular people myself, been finding human remains and things, right? Everything we've been finding, evidence and this and that. The tragedy part is when that vehicle showed up and these guys, first of all, didn't tell me the vehicle showed up over 24 hours after the vehicle showed up. They called me and told me the next day that the vehicle was found. And then on that next day, on the 20th of July, the vehicle was found on the 19th, 20th of July, they threatened me, told me to get this vehicle. I had to get this vehicle out of their compound. If I didn't, they would have it towed out of there and I had to pay storage fees, right? Here I am in an emotional state. That was the threat that I had. I had to almost beg a grown man to hold the car for 3 days to give me some time to find a place to take it. I need to call this person who's the lien holder. My son's still making payments on this vehicle, you know, see what they want to do with it. Make a long story with that. That chain of custody was broken then. They gave it to me. It didn't come off their yard just yet. Thank God. Thank God that I just so happened to have a meeting with Chief Hall and the rest of them within those 3 days. And in those 3 days, I was able to ask them to do forensic work, ask them to do fingerprinting, which they say they did. But they gave the vehicle over to me. I had to go up there and sign a piece of paper eventually to release it because they was reluctant to release it to my investigator once he told them what his intentions were to find answers. They wouldn't look for the answers. They gave him the black data stuff they had. They told him personally they didn't have an investigation. They told him that to prove that, even before I hired my investigator on, they gave me a report that day of that meeting. They gave me a half report. Chief Hall said, hey, I got you a partial report here, Mr. Robinson, and I held the full report once the detective finished writing it up. He finalized it and completed. They eventually did that. Gave me a full report, and I still have that to the day, unredacted report. Gave me this report and said, that was it. This is the final report. They're done. Like I said, my investigator came along, got that stuff. They also gave me everything before the investigation showed. They gave me everything that you guys see on the scene. His clothing just broke the chain of command, chain of custody. You know, one thing I have been smart about to this date, I never did open those evidence bags. That was opened by my investigator. He had to go take care of whatever he does on the investigative level. I have never touched that vehicle. Only seen it twice to this date. It was the date that Detective Biffin showed it to me out there inside the compound the same day that he told me I had to get it out of there. And also later on, once my investigator got it to the secure location where it's at now, I went out there with him, and I was several feet away from the vehicle. Never got close to it, where he was doing some stuff he had to take care of on that vehicle. So that's the only 2 times I've seen that vehicle. But the whole point is, I'm saying, is the chain of custody when it comes to court. One thing I was learned looking for my son is really hurtful. Somebody can come out and admit something, and any good defense attorney would get all this evidence that's on the ground, everything that was done that seen that you guys see on this picture here. It would not be admissible in court because of the way they handled that. They just totally destroyed any possibility to get some type of justice for my son by court. Why? So that type deal. So that's the most important part of breaking that custody thing. They should have never released the vehicle to me. They should have never released his clothing. And I'm saying the disrespectful part was the assumption again. The assumption of them releasing all that stuff to me, it was on the evidence bag. There's something I had to learn from my investigator at the time. I'm not an investigator, but I should be one now. I will be applying for that eventually. I have enough experience by now. So those things are one thing that I have learned so far is that when the police officer, and I do have one former police officer on my staff, on my team, who gave me also information as well. And one thing about the police department, when they collect those things like that, it's 2 things they can do with it. They have 2 check marks on there, and on the check marks on those evidence bags they gave me and had me to put in my trunk of my car. They came around and drive to my parking space and handed those things to me, and I just put them in the trunk, took it to the hotel, and held on to them until I ended up having an investigator. But my investigator told me the check marks on there is 2 check marks. I didn't realize that. One says evidence, and one is for safekeeping, right? They had the safekeeping box checked, and that meant he told me that means what they saw on the scene, everything they saw and they did, that's what they do no forensic work. What they seen in their eyes, well, not their child, not their own another police officer, didn't see their son, daughter, or whoever vehicle sitting there, and maybe in other words, they didn't put themselves in my family's shoes or Daniel's shoes or anything else. But what they saw is that this person just took his clothes off. He did what he wanted to do. So what? He'll come back for his stuff, maybe on some drugs or something, or whatever case may be. Here's his things. He's gonna come back for it. So that's the mindset. The Buckeye Police Department showed what their mindset were and what it is about my son's case. One thing about it, about my son's case as well, that I didn't like about the scene. If the Buckeye Police Department felt that their theory is that he suffered some type of brain injury, he would be an endangered person. That would give you reasons why to go out there every day. Like I have in my hometown, South Carolina, we had a young man went missing. And those people would come out there knocking on the neighborhood's doors. Those volunteers knocking on doors, saying, "Hey, see if anybody seen anything." Even had the game warden coming out there looking every morning, every day, all day. You hear the helicopters flying, looking for this one person, all the time. They eventually found the person because of that. They put the efforts there. This person was endangered. On what made this person endangered was they was from out of town. That's as simple as that. Because the person was out of town, they weren't familiar with the area, and that was dangerous to them. And that prompted the police department in my hometown to do everything they can every single day to find this person. That helicopter was out there making so much noise out there. It was kind of annoying. You can't get sleep and things like that. But they was looking for this young man and found him quickly. I think they probably found him within 5 days, right? And when I see that and I remember that, I think about my son's case, the inaction, the non-action that I got from this department from day one. All this phony, and I call it phony searches because it haven't been proven that these searches have really exist. They are searches on words, but everything that I have so far for me as tangible evidence that these people actually did these searches, only one stands out that I can definitively say they at least came out, as in how thorough that search was. I can tell you it, to me, in my opinion, was a half behind search. I couldn't see exactly what they're doing, but I do know one thing: whatever they was doing out there, they came out empty-handed, and they probably would have came out with something because they didn't want me in there to see what they were doing. They put a vehicle there to block me from coming out there to help. I said, hey, I'm a father. I want to come out here in this desert, come with y'all. I want to ride with one of these Civil Air Patrol guys and go, no, you can, well, detectives like, oh, well, we're going to see what these civil, now here they are, police officers. Well, I want to see what these guys can say if they want you out there or not or something. Then they come back and say, no, we don't want you to come in the gate. And I'll say, okay, well, let me know. I'm going to be out here waiting, whatever. And then they had a little discussion, and then I see a little pickup truck come block the gate, block the gate so I couldn't come in to go see what they were really doing. So that type deal. So I do have my suspicions about any searches that this Buckeye policemen have done. I haven't seen any tangible evidence other than some words they put, phony words, in my opinion, they put in a report. I don't care what people write on words on paper. I need to see some real tangible evidence of that. These searches have actually been performed and in the proper way. And the lies I see in the report about the Civil Air Patrol, and I'm sitting there recording 2 aircrafts and only been one, and only did one pass. So that type deal. So, and I call it half searches. So again, a chain of command, chain of custody, things like that has been damaged. My son's case has been damaged really hard. And that's the reason why you guys can say that, see why I'm constantly on this Q&A saying I don't want the Buckeye Police Department to handle my son's case. They damaged it enough, and they're going to continue to damage it because their whole goal and their whole objective at this point is to make themselves look good, and they're going to write and do anything they can in their report to do so, and to arrange certain things a certain way to make it appear, hey, don't look at what we didn't do at the beginning, to appear that they're doing this, they're a champion of trying to find my son. They're not looking for my son. I haven't heard, if I don't call them, they don't call me. They're doing nothing to convince me and my family that they're doing everything they can to help me. Could you imagine what happened to this family that was on national TV, you guys know about, and the police departments, or all these departments that came out to look for these 2 people, wouldn't have spoke to the family at all? We know the family members' names. We know everything about their lives and stuff, because people are so engrossed into what's going on in their family life and everything else. And that's only because the police department was always there, always engaging with the family, always showing their empathies and stuff like that. I got a lot of empathy from people who have nothing to really, like Sheriff Bazone yesterday. Very just showing his empathy, showing his care, just to hear my story, and also just the words that come out his mouth. And it's the first time I actually talked to this department. Same thing happened in the Phoenix Police Department the day before yesterday. And when I went out there to talk to them at a city council meeting, I went out to Buckeye twice, city council meeting, and they have yet to date have anybody from their chief hall or their mayor and his vice mayor and the whole council and everybody, the city manager, have yet to come out and say, well, Mr. Robinson, I'm sorry your family going through this. They don't care. That's what I'm saying. They're showing the whole department, the whole police department, the whole city council, all of them, the mayor, all of them showing me exactly who they are, what kind of people they are, and things like that. So again, yes, all that has been damaged because they have a whole network system up there. You already know that department got in trouble before for falsifying documents. Have a whole network, in my opinion, of corruption or whatever going on up there, and my son's case is involving that. That's why I don't want anything out of Buckeye handling my son's case. So, so that's why I'm really working really hard. You guys, if you guys have anything to say to Buckeye, that's one of the things, is for them to release my son's case to someone else who definitely will have the best interest in finding out what happened to my son, and let me and my family have some type of closure and some kind of something. We need some kind of answer. I'm tired of playing the games with them. I've been here for almost a year now, and I'm tired of playing the game with this department and going through all this pain and suffering, and working really hard trying to just even be here, asking people for funding and doing this and that, just to try to find my son, and they playing games to try to make themselves look good. Damn them. And they feel as in who they are and everything that come along with them. You know what I'm saying? My son is missing. Their child is not missing. Their family member is not missing. So who cares about their feelings, and who cares about the way their department looks? If you want your department to look right, then do the right things. Do things the way you're supposed to. When you put your badge on and that gun and everything else, you say you're serving the community, serve the community. That's what you do. I would not see one time see myself as a soldier of the U.S. Army. One time knowing that we went up there in Afghanistan, and we knew that every time we're leaving this fob that we call it forward operation base in Afghanistan, we will have our little fobs. We left the wire. We knew that it's possible we ain't gonna come back, but it was our job. We didn't run whenever the Taliban shot at us. We went towards where they were shooting at us. They engaged us. We engaged them back. We go towards the firefight. We don't run away from the firefight. We know that we're going towards that. We might get shot. You know, I had many times rounds passing my head as a gunner, but that was my job. If one of those bullets would got lucky and hit its mark, yeah, I would have been out of here. But it's my job to do that. And that's one of the things that you're a police officer. I don't feel sorry for police officers to go out there and say, hey, we out here doing, you once chose this profession. That's what you do. That's your job. I chose nobody, just like when I swear and I put my right hand up to serve this country, the first thing they ask you, did somebody put a gun to your head, tell you to do this? No. Because you know you're giving up some of your civilian rights. You have to sign this contract. Anybody ask you to do this? No. Anybody force you to do this? No. You do it on your own accord? Yes. Then you have your right hand up there, and you swore in to serve and protect the Constitution of the United States. You do your job. And it's the same thing as a police officer. I don't feel sorry for police officers. You chose a job, then do your job right. Do your job. It's your job to be out there. Just like them little young kids that got shot up. Those cops should have been running to that gunner, that person, you know. Put your life in front of that bullet to try to protect those kids, you know. So that's your job. Nobody don't feel sorry for I don't feel sorry for police officers. I know what it takes to be in that profession. I know what it takes to say you wearing a uniform to protect other people. That's what you do. That your job is to put yourself at risk like that. So, you know, that type deal. So, you know, you go out there and somebody's family member is missing, you treat it like it's your own child. Treat it like it's your own family member. And that's what I expected from the Buckeye Police Department and also the whole system they got up there. And I haven't gotten it to this date. I just got a bunch of excuses. I got a bunch of crap. And, you know, it's very hard. It's very hard. So you guys seeing a lot of my emotion come out today. Of course, you know, I'm tired. I'm very tired. Every day I'm pressed to knowing that I'm getting closer to a year that my son is missing. That's not a good day for me. It's not a good day for my family. It's not good for us to even have to consider it in our brain. But, you know, sometimes I had to put it off. My team probably don't know either. Sometimes you hide your pain. You have to hide your pain all the time. Me, personally, I have to a lot, you know. And the biggest part is to physically know that, and then worrying about so much other things in life that you have to do normal things where I had to go do this or do that. But emotionally, you know, the reality is I still have a missing son. After everything, everybody's out here helping. I'm really grateful for everybody. At the end of the day, I have a missing son that I really love very much, and I'm really trying to find. So you guys, when you see me act this way, that's the reason why. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's hard. It's hard to keep your composure and things like that. So thank you guys for coming out again. Shiro's Nation, thanks for being here again, and thanks for your questions. You know, I like when you ask your questions there. Do you know if you can say where the vehicle transfer paint was located? Yes, it was on the passenger side, above the wheel, on the front wheels area, the panel there above the wheel there. That's where the red transfer paint, and also examining that area again, there's also a little hint of yellow transfer there as well. Not sure of that. I had to keep looking at that. I don't know if it's the lighting, but the pictures that I have, like I told you guys, I have not physically touched this vehicle or been so close to it physically. So for me to have that examined, we had to be examined again by my new, for instance, investigator, because, you know, my former investigator, he only said red transfer paint, but I was looking at the pictures, and I do kind of see a hint of yellow as well. Somebody pointed it out to me, and I say, you know what? Yeah, I do see a hint of yellow. I don't know if that's lighting, but I do want that to be looked at and to be examined. So I can't do it myself. Of course, that's something the investigator does. So, but yeah, it's right there above the wheel area there, Shiro's Nation, where you can see the red transfer paint. So, all right. Thank you again for your questions and coming out to the Q&A. Again, you guys, pardon me for that little, I'll call it a mini rant, but it's definitely very painful, and I was kind of imagining what everybody else in my family goes through. I hear them all the time. They want answers. They pressure me with that, and I don't have answers sometimes to give them. But it's there. All right, here's a question here, Janica. Have you had the opportunity to speak with Daniel's employer? Yes, I have, and I haven't spoken to them recently, but the last time I spoke to them was last month. Yeah, I talked to them quite a bit, especially when I first came out here. I had a lot of meetings with them, board meetings with them a lot, the owners and things like that. As you guys may know, may not know, one thing I can tell you, I put it out before. I don't know if it's really significant at all, but one of the things is my son, the owners of that company, Matrix New World, Southwest Groundwater, the owners, the owner's son is Daniel's friend, is one of Daniel's friends from college. They was college buddies, friends from college. So, of course, that company has some ties with that. You know what I'm saying? My son's friends, his mother is the top owner of that company, and then her husband is secondary to that. But yeah, I talked to both of them. Very nice people, and even the husband, he even offered space and using space there to run the operation out of my operation to find Daniel out of. So very nice people. I did talk to them a lot. So definitely. All right. Here you go, Sophia. Thank you so much. Just make my blood boil. It does. No compassion. Yes, and it does. It does. And we talk about it all the time. As a team, and I'm really, I know we're gonna talk about that today. I want to make sure we get out of here. But definitely, thank you so much, Sophia. And I'm the same way. Yeah, it do make your blood boil. And a lot of times, just having to talk about this, you guys, on Q&A. This Q&A, just have to talk about it all the time and I had a best friend of mine in South Carolina. He asked me that. I said, David, one of the biggest things, he was wondering how to say these things over and over and over again. And, it's two things the way I put it in my head. It's like a pattern. You just say something over and over again, and then you try to not make thought of it. But then there's times where, like what just happened a while ago, you can't run away from those thoughts, the reality of what's really going on. The reality of how things happen and stuff like that. The reality is that you have to actually fight against forces of people who have established stuff. Like, the police department is established. What they do is established. And then you fighting against that when they're not doing the right thing, right? And the reality that maybe even with all this fight, they somehow get away with that, that type deal. So, but then at the end of the day, they don't have to suffer the loss or anything that you are going through when you don't have answers about your loved one. I'm not just fighting just for me and my son, my family. I'm fighting for everybody else who's out there going through the same thing. That's why this nonprofit is coming up. That's the reason why we're having this event on the 25th. It's not just about me and my family. Again, it's about other families members who go through the same. It's not unique that the police departments have been treating my family a certain way. It happens to a lot of families. But you know what the difference is with me is a person that I'm a fighter. I'll fight anybody. I don't care who you are and what you stand for. That is who I am as a person. You got to stand up for something. My son, my children have been taught the same thing. Daniel, he's in the Black Lives Matter protest against police brutality. One thing he believed in, and I'm proud of him. I was talking to him that day while I was out there in the protest. I could hear the people in the background, and I was proud. I was in South Carolina, like, God, I wish I was there. Proud of my son. He did an interview with one of the local news here, fighting for against police brutality. I'm pro police, but you know what? I'm against police brutality. I have scars on my body from childhood from police brutality. So There's a lot of bad cops out there, and that's the bottom line. There's no way around that. No matter how much people want to say whatever, there's a lot of bad ones out there. Some good ones out there too, but there's a lot of bad ones out there. Well, the way I look at things, and I'll be honest with you guys, if you say you're a good cop and you don't say nothing, you don't do nothing against these about these other ones, you're a bad cop too. You're not doing your job. So that make it hard to say there's a good cop out there when there's so many bad cops out there, and the so-called good cops ain't doing anything about it. That make them a bad cop too. You're complicit. You're also accessory to. That's what they'll do if you was riding in the car and one of the persons in the vehicle has some drugs, and they pull that person out of the car and found the drugs on the person. Everybody going to jail in that vehicle. They're gonna say, well, okay, well, if you got one bad person in this car, we're gonna get this person. No, they're taking all of you down to jail. And I say the same thing. Practice what you preach. If you say that about a person that you call a suspect and everything else, then you say about the whole department. If they got some corrupt person in there and they're not doing anything about it, then you all corrupt. It's just the way it rolls. There's no such thing as a good cop if you don't do anything about it. So, only way I can say that is prove me wrong. Go do something about it. Clean your department up and get these persons out that don't deserve to be there. So, tea and wildflowers. Mr. Robinson, did you get Daniel's expense reports? No, I have not. I haven't gotten that yet. That's one thing that is something that need to be done as well. You're right, because he do get he had to put in his expense reports too, and that would tell a lot, especially over the days. So, good thing, and I think you guys ask questions like that, and I do grateful. Like I told you, I have team members there, and I have one that specifically. If she's in the chat right now, she definitely will be writing that down. I want to talk about that today, team. If y'all right there hear this question, I'll leave it here for a second. That's something that wouldn't come out. I need to be reminded of that, and that's one thing that I want to get with Daniel's employers on. So if you guys can definitely mark that down, because we'll talk about that at our meeting today. So thank you. All right. I do have one here. This is a comment. You are doing a great job despite going through pain. Thank you. I really appreciate that, D-Love. You got this, God, and God has you praying for a miracle and keeping safe. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, D-Love. I really appreciate it. See, that's kind of things I do need. And the encouragement helps a lot when you're going through stuff like this. So that's for any family. I think sometimes the biggest thing outside of all the other things we ask for when it comes to sign a petition, donation, one of the biggest things is support like that. When you guys come on Q&As, support come in many forms and fashions. It don't have to be monetary. It don't have to be physical. Everybody have their limitations. Everybody have what they can do, and whenever you even do this, I have one person to say she's from the UK. I forgot who it was on here in chat. That's all you can do is support this Q&A, right? And I'm grateful for that. You know what I'm saying? Every little thing count. You know what I'm saying? Believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? I would not be mentally have a team. I would be mentally be able to go through certain things if I didn't have people in the background who keep encouraging you to keep going and things like that. So that helps out a lot. So just hear comments like that. It helps out the morale and things like that. So thank you again. All right. Let's see who I have here. Adele, I think it is. Thank you so much for being here. I see a question. If you have a question, please put the word question there, question mark, or things like that. I can see your question, but I just happen to see Adele here. You said what city? I'm not sure what you're referring to. I'm so sorry for this burden you have been given. Now, if you're saying what city that my son was missing in, it was Buckeye. It's called Buckeye, Arizona. It's one of the fastest growing, the fastest growing city here in Arizona, and one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. They have a lot of land masses in the Sonoran Desert areas they have out there, and they building these communities. My son's job, Adele, is to these communities. First of all, anytime there's community being built out in these deserts here in Arizona, one by law, these communities have to have well water, right? I know they had the city water pipes they run or whatever, but they have to have well water, right? I guess it's like emergency supply. And my son's job is to determine these wells that's been digged can produce 100 years of water. By law, those wells for these communities, they had to have those wells, first of all, but those wells have to have at least 100 years of water supply. And his job is to determine that, as well as the viability of the well. Even if the water is even drinkable, what's coming out, whatever the rocks of sediments that's in that water, whatever's coming out of that rocks, they need to test those and make sure that water is even drinkable. So stuff like that. So his job is very important. The area that my son went missing, they're trying to build this thing called a smart city. Howard Hughes Foundation. Also, I think I don't know if it was Elon Musk or whoever. One of them guys also joining in with that, trying to build this big community. This was so-called smart city. I'm sure it's probably something that's running by solar panels or something. Is why they call it that. I'm not sure, but the thing is that area is supposed to be developed for something like that. And his job is to make sure that if his job say what he find if these wells do not produce 100 years of water, then that community cannot be built out there. So his job will determine that. All right. Thank you, Sandy, again for coming to Q&A. Thank you for your question. Is there any evidence to indicate Daniel may not be in the desert, taken from his car? And that's some of the theories that I look into as well. One of the reasons why I'm in the desert is because of the story of the guy who last seen my son. He's the narrator of this whole story. The story is based on what was given to me and my family that happened to my son. The last place he was actually seen. So that's the reason why I started my searches out there in the desert. When the vehicle showed up and all the evidence that say, hey, this vehicle wasn't even crashed here, that put my son outside of the desert, possibly, right? This vehicle was brought here just as a staging point. All the stuff you see here was staged to make it appear whatever happened to my son happened here in the desert. And I can tell you, that vehicle showed up after I was on the news a lot, telling about my son's story. Yeah, he went missing out in the desert. So the person who's responsible, I'm sure, watches the news as well. Hey, let's put it in the desert. Let's keep this in the desert. That's one of the theories I think about too, because there are some things that would indicate that Daniel may not have even been in the desert. So those things, I look at all of those avenues, and that's the reason why I started my city searches at the time, looking for, and I even had to look at the ludicrous story that Buckeye came out with his brain injury thing, and he just walked off and things like that, and joined a monastery and become a monk. I went to go check the monasteries that's near the area to see the possibility of Daniel being a monk, like the detective tried to throw off at me. I had to look at the possibility he had a brain injury, don't know who he is. He in one of these facilities, hospitals or something. I had to consider all of that outside of the desert. So I started the city searches out there, getting those flyers, these big flyers. I wish I had one on me here somewhere, passing out to these places, right? And then that transferred over to the city distribution, which you guys see now, will end up turning out to these little flyers. Because Daniel, in my mind, I hope so. I hope the desert searches is a bit waste of time, and always been a bit waste of time. That'd be a bit plus for me and my family, and my son is still out there somewhere. And that's where I'm in. That's why I'm out here doing the flyer distribution too, because there's nothing to say that also he could possibly be away from he's not, there's nothing to say he's not out there somehow away from this desert. So I had to try to look at everything, every angle, and try to cover all my bases. And that's one of the things, until I get some definitive answers to exactly what happened to my son. So thank you for that question. All right. I do have another question from D Love. Mr. Robinson, were there any still shots since there is no footage of Daniel entering the Waffle House or gas station? The gas station part, some reason the Buckeye Police Department would not give me anything about that. They claim they have that video footage. I haven't seen it to this date. And only reason why they knew anything about the gas station is because of me and my daughter sitting across in that interrogation room, holding the cell phone, strolling. And the matter of fact, it was this my other phone, strolling on the phone to show them my son's bank statement. And it was a charge there for whatever happened at the gas. I don't want to say gas. I'm just going about the Buckeye Police Department. They said it was a gas purchase. I don't know what kind of purchase it was, but the whole point was we showed them on the phone, and it shows the transaction. They went to go try to find out which store this transaction, which Circle K was it, and they end up calling me back and say, yeah, and they say, oh, we got footage of him pumping some gas, right? But the thing is, I'm definitely like, hey, why he be pumping? And this is an SUV. What $3? I think it was $2, $3, whatever it was, can do for him, gas wise. But nevertheless, they did not give me a video footage of that. They said they have that to put my son there at that gas station, right? Now, as in for the Waffle House, the day before my son was missing, yeah, they told me to have video of that as well. They gave me the whole story, the whole take. That you guys can see it in their police report, indicating that they talked to some woman that worked at the Waffle House, and Daniel was acting strange or whatever the case. He had so standoffish or whatever the case would be, as if him and that whoever she is, they talk all the time. Like this lady know he's a regular customer, right? But they have this video footage of that. I asked for that. Of course, they didn't give me that either. What they end up doing, like you're saying, they gave me still shots of the video itself. Just different still shots. But like I said, with the still shots and those timestamps, they have a lot of questions that I have about that they need to answer, because there's a lot of time missing, right? But the thing is, as well, on that that Waffle House experience, my daughter and I, we had a conversation. This before when I found out about this Waffle House that Daniel was at. He like I said, a story about that. I'm not gonna go into that, but that's Daniel's first time even going to that Waffle House. We was all surprised. We from South Carolina, surprised to even be knowing that there was a Waffle House in Arizona. You know, we thought it was a southern thing, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, possibly type deal. North Carolina. Didn't know it'd be out here west. So yeah, I'm sure he was happy to find a Waffle House. You know, I don't eat at it personally. I think it's a dirty place, but my son would. You know, so he is not a regular customer. So wherever Buckeye get that from, that's another problem. So, all right. Let me see here. Oh, but then they need to vet the lady's story who they claim said all of this, right? But whoever this lady is, they did not put her name in that report. So to me, it's just like a story they came up with. All right. All right, here we go. All right, do I have any other questions? I will be coming down to the comment section. If I don't, I'm going to end the Q&A. I'm really grateful for you guys coming in and being a part of it. It helps out a lot whenever I have people here doing that. I do see some things. You guys see some things in the comment section. Just ignore those. You know, one thing about life, and I noticed, and I'm gonna say this too. One thing I noticed since I have been in the public eye, and you know, doing this, my son's case went nationally, and I had to do all these interviews. I talked to Sarah Seidner with CNN, and her and the camera guy behind the scenes. We're talking. I'll tell him about when I first came here. I had gotten death threats and stuff. Just looking for my son. People threatening my life, you know. You know, I mentioned it to them, and they say, "Oh, you too?" Like, you know, like it's normal, you know. Hey, when you put yourself in public, the crazies come out. You got crazy people. You have some people there. They have nothing in life. They have no life worth, or whatever the case may be to themselves. That they try to make other people's lives miserable, right? So they'll come in the comment section and put things up, porn stuff or whatever the case may be, just to be distract or to just be problematic, because that's all they got. Their whole life worth is to try to make other people's life miserable somehow. And so it's all like that old saying, misery love company. And a lot of times people just love, they're miserable and they want to bring somebody else down with them. So if you guys see kind of things like that in the comment section and stuff like that, just ignore it. It is one of those type people. My moderators there, they try their best to weave some of that stuff out, but you can't catch it all. I had one time on the Q&A, had somebody, they must have took their time to make this thing. You know how you copy and paste and had the N word. I mean, it's so long that it's hard to get it all off really quickly. And, you know, but, you know, it's one of those things that those type people, they have nothing better to do. They'll surf the well all day, probably don't have a job or anything, and they just try to make other people's lives miserable. So don't have any kind of heart or mind or soul or whatever the case may be, and they come out and do things. So I want to say that because I did see something there in the comment section that was really distasteful. So you guys just know that this is a channel geared to finding awareness for my son, to find my son, and try to help other families. So if you guys see things like that, just ignore it. That is people's, whoever that is, come along. I hope they like, share, and subscribe to the channel. At least help with the algorithm if they want to go do that kind of stuff. But to try to help this thing go out farther. But other than that, yeah, just kind of ignore that if you can. So it's no part of what we're doing here on this Q&A. So, all right, it will be nobody decent. I'll just put it that way. Then we had the scum. We had the scums out there. So, but it would be nobody's decent. All right, here we go. Janica, thank you for your question here. I wonder if satellite imagery can show anything in the area Daniel went missing. Have you checked into this? Yeah, we have. When I say we, I have a few people was looking for satellite footage. I have myself, and the ones I have in the past. I haven't lately went to those, but the ones I have been trying to find satellite footage is up in that time frame my son went missing, and most of them outdated. There was that dated before my son went missing, and then when they updated, it ended up being updated after this year, for instance, after the point of my son being missing. So some of those gaps been missing, but I know there's got to be footages out there. There's thousands of satellites floating around up there in space, and something probably caught something. And it's just that it's hard to find out which one and who to look for and things like that. So who can so that type of stuff. So all right, I'm gonna go ahead and block this user myself. I realize I may cannot, but I'm trying to block this user. So you guys seeing those kind of stuff in the comment section, like again, I say just ignore it. All right, here we go. Try to see if anybody have any more questions. If you guys don't, I hope you guys come up back on Wednesday to be part of the Wednesday Q&A. Again, remember that the Q&As would be, I did see a question here. Q&As would be on Wednesdays going forward. It will not be on Monday and Fridays anymore. I will be utilizing that time for other efforts and finding my son. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. I will be doing that. So you guys come on and you'll say, hey, look, where's Mr. Robinson? I don't see the Q&As, and that's what it is. I'll throw that on the bottom of the screen. Again, I do have a question here from George. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Appreciate being a part of the Q&A through the YouTube. Hi, can you tell us about experience when talking with families of people you have found in the desert? I did get to talk to those families. I only talked to one family that of a remain that we found out there, and but other families. Once we turn those things over to Buckeye Police Department, I don't even know if most of the times when we find human remains out there on the ground, I don't know if they even come collect those things. I don't know. I'm assuming they do. We hope they do. I've only literally seen them collect. I've seen them come out once before, but them actually collecting human remains, they're supposed to have done it, we're assuming, but I can tell you that sometimes we do searches on certain grids multiple times, because sometimes you can't just do a search of an area once. You got to go multiple times, right? Especially with the terrain. And some of those things we marked before we went through there, they're still on the ground. So we end up marking and sending it to them again. But I can vouch for them. The latest time was this year. I think it was this year or the later part of last year. Well, we found human remains that was really fresh, and they tried to deny and call it, Buckeye tried to call it animal remains. Of course, with push and made them send it to the Maricopa County examiner's office, and they came back and said they're all human. And that's the first time I ever seen Buckeye deem an area a crime scene. They actually put tape out there and everything. So I made a video footage. You guys have video footage of that. You see it part of the commercial that I had on the introduction. So I don't get to talk to the families. I just talked to one, and it made me feel a sense of gratitude that this family had some form of closure. And the reason why I keep using the word some form of closure, because it's still painful for this family, because they might get something like a femur a skull, in the case a skull or a leg, a femur bone or arm bone or something. They don't have the whole entire skeletal remain, if you want to say. And that's the reason why I keep telling you guys how painful it is for me to know that money always is an issue on most things, right? And sometimes just the whole point, like I said, I had to put the searches on pause. And I feel like that one search, if my son is out there, probably could have found him if he's out there on that ground. So that's the sad part, George, is the fact that talking to a family member that I was able to talk to, and just for that person only have just to know their family members out there to collect everything of this person, I can see them able to do that. That snoring desert is very huge, it's very big, and once those things get scattered around like that, it'll be hard to piece those together. So that's one of the hardest things. So definitely, yeah, talk to families, and that made me passionate people outside of that, not just the ones with the human remains that was found out there in the desert, but other families from all across the country and places share their person's story with me. And just to be able to talk to these families, yeah, it's painful to hear their stories just as much as they hear in mine. And like I said, I couldn't be human to try to help out in some form. All right. Thank you, Ashes, to Ashes for your questions. Did your investigator get the name of the employee who served Daniel at the Waffle House? And that's what I'm saying. Nobody haven't. My former investigator, well, I try not to put this out, but I'm going to reach out to him, but I need a report. I'm still waiting on a report from him too, from a lot of things. I would like to know that, if it's any indication of person name wise. I wouldn't put the name out in public, of course. But we don't even see that in the report. They quit to put some other people's name, my name. Matter of fact, they put so much information out there. They'll put the name there of other people. Of course, you redact the last name. We just know people by their first name basis, supposed to off the report. And you don't see this person's name. They'll talk about somebody, a worker or whoever it is, and stuff like that, but they don't put people's name. But they're supposed to be part of that report, right? So you'll think they would do that. So no, I don't have a name of this person. I don't think the person, in my opinion, the person don't even exist. The person didn't say these things if they do exist. My son's first time going to Waffle House, so that opinion should have been vetted. If a person said something like that, why would they come up with something like that when they never met my son before? That type deal. So that should have been vetted. So there's a lot of questions behind. I question everything. So, all right. Esther, thank you so much for your questions here. Question. Ken said he called Steve after a while when he got concerned about Daniel, but there is no time. Do you have this information? I don't have no information of him calling Steve. I don't have his phone records. I don't know what the conversation between him and the Steve person is. I do know the phone calls, for instance, that my son had on those dates, because I do have his cell phone now. So information. So I definitely know those times and things like that. But no, I don't know what happened between Ken and the worker, Steve, whatever conversation they had and things like that. But I only know what happened on my son's phone and stuff like that, because I do have that information provided for myself. All right. So I think that's it. Thank you guys for coming in to this Q&A again. I have to put this Q&A on Wednesday. So if you guys can please come and join in on Wednesday for the next Q&A, 6:30, same time, the Q&A, and 6:30 here a.m. Here in Phoenix, and it'll be 9:30 a.m. out there on the West Coast on Wednesday morning. And then also the second one on Wednesday would be at 5:30 p.m. here in Phoenix, and also 8:30 p.m. Out there in the East Coast. So thank you guys for coming in this Q&A again. I try to make sure I have any more information my team need to be put out there or not. If you wish to, please send photos of your family members to please help find Daniel at yahoo.com so that we can feature them. Yes, if you guys want to put pictures, your flyers, information about, send out to please help find Daniel daniel@yahoo.com. That's the email address that we'd like to see. If you guys have any other information, things like that, please utilize that that email address. Again, I'll put it down here on the bottom, the email address there. Please help find Daniel at yahoo.com. That help as well for us to reach out to you and stuff. So thank you so much for that, Barry, putting that out. Again, you guys, please, if you can, come out to this event that the team put together. Very, very good, good purpose for to highlight other families, also as well as Daniel's story about their loved ones. Please come out. Day of Remembrance on June 25th. You guys can find that information. Please help find Daniel.com. Also Eventbrite as well. Please be a part of that. It'd be good for other families and stuff like that as well. So, all right. Hopefully y'all have a wonderful day. Stay prayed up, and and just don't forget about my family. I'll be doing everything I can on the back end, doing everything I can to fight for my son and get answers. So thank you again. I'll see y'all then, and love you all. Take care. All right.